Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a stream that was requested for by the people. You get me? You guys asked and you guys shall receive. You get me? You guys wanted a stream where someone challenges me on my opinions from the stream earlier on. You get me? So this is going to be an enjoyable stream to say the least, because he claims he cooked me last time. He didn't. I cooked him. I'm uncookable. You just can't cook me. You know, imagine putting a rock in a pressure cooker. The rock will always be a rock. It's just never gonna change. You get me? So yeah, uncookable. Regardless, big up to every single one of you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us on yet another stream. Make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you guys are subscribing. I can confirm that Emica was not late. And I was not late because I messaged him like 30 minutes before the stream started. My internet decided to play games right before going live. So yeah, we are here, you guys. So I appreciate every single one of you guys. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And joining us on the channel is the challenger, if you would like, is the man that has decided he wants to speak to Husam based on everything that he says. Bring me on. Let me cook you. You get me? Is the man himself. Man like Emica, how you doing, brother?
That's good, bro. How are you?
Yo. Big up, man.
You told a few lies.
I hope I'm not lagging.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, you told a few lies in that intro, but it's okay.
What lies did I tell in the intro?
You did get cooked, man.
No, I did not.
You did, man. Everything I said, because I went back and watched it before we had this combo right now. I mean, almost everything I told you would happen this season is playing out just as I said. Still early.
Other than Nunez.
I never defended Nunez, though. I think you're confusing me with someone else. I never defended Nunez.
I can't confuse you with someone else because I know everything that you've said before. And not everything that you said was said in the call-in show. Some things that you said were said in the comment section as well. Chat, by the way, let us know, because if any of us is lagging, please let us know. I think we are, everyone should be good now. So in the chat, just keep us updated on the lag situation if you would like. You get me? Just keep us updated, because I don't know if I'm lagging. I don't know if he's lagging. He doesn't know if he's lagging or I'm lagging. So you get me? So we are in a lag situation right now. It could be just StreamYard. So in the chat, you're going to have to help us. If you're watching it, okay, no lag, okay. Because sometimes StreamYard bugs out. So like it shows you that someone is lagging, but they're not. So let us know in the chat, guys, please. Okay, so if anyone sees any lag or like something is going on, please keep us updated, because we need your opinions in the chat. Okay, everyone is saying we're good. Okay, then we're good. So Emica, as the person that heard everything I had to say in the earlier on stream, tell me first, which parts do you agree with me on? And which parts do you want to talk to me about? So because we have to identify what exactly are we talking about here. So tell me.
Yeah. So first of all, big fan, obviously. Been following for a while. You see me in the comments. I think number one, I agree with FSG historically haven't spent as much as they should have. Like there's ways that they could have improved our squad at key moments. I feel like when they do spend, we get it right, but we tend to do it a little bit late, is what I would say. Like we're usually a window or two behind, when if they just made their decisions on time, we'd be in a lot better place, right? The key time I think of is the VVD season, the VVD injury season. I think if we get in a proper center back that season, we probably could have salvaged something, but that's not really their model, obviously, right? The other part I agree with, I would say, is I think they definitely hold a good portion of the blame for some of the issues that we're going through now, 100%. But the reason I actually jumped in the chat on your earlier stream was I think too much of our fan base is like, we get emotional and FSG's the target that we tend to go after. And we absolve Klopp of any wrongdoing in any of this. And I just don't. I love Klopp more than anybody else. Big fan. I never want to come across as a Klopp hater, but to say he has no blame or no accountability in this, I just don't agree with at all. And hopefully that's what we're gonna discuss here, and that's what I'm gonna prove to everybody in the chat as well.
Okay, but then the question becomes, right now there is no Klopp.
Yeah.
Right now, Klopp is not a Liverpool employee, as things stand as of this very second. So how can you explain the position that we're in and relate it to Klopp then?
Perfect. So I think it's important, especially for Liverpool, the way we're run. If you want to look at why we're here today, you have to go back, right? We have to look at how we actually ended up here. And I would say the first red flag or the first warning sign for all of us should have been summer 2021 when Henderson got that extension and Edwards walked out of the door. For me, that was the beginning of essentially the cycle that we're seeing right now, where I think for a long time, our fan base has kind of said Klopp has protected FSG, or he saved FSG. Without Klopp, FSG, we wouldn't have won anything, et cetera, right? Which I think in a lot of ways, Klopp in a sense is disproving this year. Slot is disproving this year, because it's the same players Klopp had available to him last year. And there's no change if anything, we're doing better than we did last year. Again, we were top or first or second last year around this time as well. But again, we're still flying with the exact same players. So if it was all Klopp, if all of our success was accountable to Klopp, then we shouldn't be in the position we're in right now. And I think, again, too much is put onto the coach sometimes, and just in sports in general, you need a competent coach. But at the end of the day, you can't turn water into wine. You need actual quality on the pitch. And that's the reason why we've had the success we've had over the last 7-8 years, is the actual quality that we have on the pitch. So when we go at FSG, I'm all for it. They could have spent more, they could have done more. But my question becomes, the actual successes we have, if we give them the blame for not doing more, who do we give the credit to for that success as well? Does that just 100% go to Klopp? Because let's say we finish the year, we look like favorites to win the Prem, we could win the champs. If that happens, then who does that credit go to now? Is it still all Klopp, who as you said is no longer here? Or
no, for me, the credit, you're talking about this season specifically?
Just in general, like I'm looking at our entire model of success that we've had over the last 7 to 8 years, right? Because let's be real, like
I wouldn't call it a model of success.
Well, I personally would, because if I look at our action, like let's actually go through, like if we want to be real, right? Let's actually go through our run, let's say since 2017-18, right?
Yeah.
17-18, I think that would have been Klopp's second year. We make it to a UCL final. Lose to Madrid. I think they were the better team. They should win, right? Second year, 18-19, 97 points, and we win a Champions League, right?
Success, yeah.
Success. So unequivocally a success. 97 points in essentially every single season besides the one we're in, you win a Prem as well, right? Okay, the reason why that didn't happen. But 19-20, Prem title, again, success, right?
Of course, success.
So that's 3 straight years of basically, well, I'll say 2 straight years. 17-18, we didn't win it, so I'm not going to call that success. But again, we're competing at the higher.
I actually think for where we were at the time, that could be considered success. 17-18, I wouldn't mind that. Not every time we finish second, I think it's not success, because that was the first time, like since 2007, we got to a Champions League final, and we had no business being in the Champions League final to begin with. If we're being completely honest, I don't even think we had Fabinho at the time yet. We didn't even have Fabinho at the time yet. We didn't have Alisson yet. So we had no business being in the Champions League final. So as much as someone will tell me, oh, you're a loser, it's all about winning, I agree with you. But 17-18 was, in my opinion, yes, a success, even though we didn't win anything, because we got top 4, which was the main goal at the time. And we got to a Champions League final when we had no business being there to begin with. So I would consider that year successful, given the context of the year. But then the 4 years after that is where this model of success thing is where we disagree on. Those 3 years, I don't think any Liverpool fan would disagree, to be fair. I think obviously 18-19, you win the Champions League, unbelievable success. 19-20, you win the Premier League, unbelievable success. It's the 4 years after that where we did not really win anything significant. And when I mean significant, I'm talking about Premier League, Champions League.
Exactly.
That's like the thing where I'm saying we challenged, yeah, but challenging is not winning.
Mhm.
And the difference why in 17-18, I'll tell you, challenging for a Champions League is successful is because we had no business being there, but we had business being in the quadruple charge season. We absolutely had business being in that title race. We absolutely deserved to be there.
Yep.
And if you want to go through them like year by year, the year after that, January, we were top of the league. We go sign Kabak and Ben Davies, taking the piss out of like
Yep.
an actual club that wants to win.
The
Like, we were talking about the Trent situation earlier. Florentino Perez in that position. Look at him now. He has Carvajal out to the end of the season. He's trying to get Trent in January. He's like, fuck all this waiting till the summer. Let's get him now. That tells you the difference between an owner who wants to win and an owner who doesn't want to win. Because Florentino Perez's first thought process is, I need to win. So Carvajal is out to the end of the season. How can I win? Okay, Liverpool. Trent is going to join us in the summer. But instead of it, how about you get some money? Here's 20 million. Give me Trent now. 20 million euros is willing to pay it 6 months before a player becomes for free available, just to guarantee that he wins something this season. And that for me is the massive difference here.
I partly agree, and I think we'll get into that a bit more when we get to the Trent conversation in terms of why I don't think that's necessarily as simple as that looks. Because if you even just look back a year ago, Madrid was in their own little bit of a injury crisis with their center backs, and they had Tchouaméni playing there, etc. Ancelotti was asking for center backs, and Perez didn't budge, right? They didn't bring in anybody for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their season played out as it played out. This Trent situation, it can look like that, like, oh, he's bidding now to get Trent because of the Carvajal injury. I don't think it's just that. I think they obviously want Trent. They obviously think they have a chance to get Trent based on conversations they would have had with Trent, etc. But I think they're not all the way. If they're 90% sure that that last 10% is where they don't want to leave any chance. So they're like, you know what? Let's see if we can put in a bid now and get him now and get Liverpool to budge. So that's my personal opinion on that. Again, when we get into the Trent talk, I want to.
Yeah, we'll get to Trent in a bit. So the whole model of success thing. Yeah, break it down.
Right. So we have the VVD season. Then the next season we have our quadruple charge. Obviously, get to the UCL final, don't win it, 92 points, lose the league by 1 point. Right. So all the way up to that point, right? You would say for most clubs looking in, like we were a modern day example of how to run your football club, right? We had our entire structure from top down working the way it should work. We had Edwards doing his thing, our recruitment doing their thing. We rarely missed, obviously we didn't spend as much as we would want to as fans, but when we did spend, we were hitting, like our success rate was almost 100%, right? We got VVD, we got Allison, we got Fabinho, we got I think 2021 is when we got Thiago. Was it that summer or this summer?
Yeah, after we won the league.
Yeah, 2021, right? So we were taking all the right steps, and then something happened that summer, and Edwards says, okay, I'm out of here, right? Edwards says, I can't do this anymore. That coincides with the same summer when Henderson got his extension, which I know your thoughts on Henderson already. I'm sure I know the thoughts of most people in the chats. Thoughts on Henderson at that current moment. And it was obviously time to go in another direction, right? But for whatever reason, we know the reason why that didn't happen, right?
But before we get into the stuff after that, quadruple charge season itself, I don't consider that a successful season.
I don't
Because the same way I said, look, 17-18, we had no business being there. No, quadruple charge season, we had business being there because we had Mane, we had Salah, we had Van Dijk, Fabinho, everyone playing at an elite level. So we should be expected to win one of the two big trophies. The reason why I push back on FSG is that season, day after the Champions League final ended, I once again spoke about the ownership and the lack of ambition and the direction that we're headed in, because that Diaz signing was the signing that changed our season. Because let's not forget, we were 14 points behind Manchester City. I know that we had the game in hand, but we were 14 points, 11 points, whatever it is, behind Manchester City. We signed Luis Diaz, everything changes. We move Mane to striker, and we start to cook. Now, theoretically, hypothetically, if we do sign Diaz in the summer instead of signing him in the January, we could have won a Premier League. We could have been Premier League champion that season, because most of the points we dropped that year, we dropped in the first half of the season. We dropped most of the points. Like we lost to West Ham away. We had like those bad results, all in that specific first half of the season. And you go back to those transfer windows.
Do you think we knew, like, do you think that first half of the season, like going into that season, I don't think most of us came in saying we needed to upgrade our attack based on how we were performing, right? I think seeing that first half of the season and seeing how Mane had kind of deteriorated a little bit. Firmino like had lost his legs a little bit. That's when we kind of saw, okay, we need another.
No, but actually I did want an attacker. The reason why I wanted an attacker is the last 6 months of the season where we had our center backs out, it was really only Salah performing from the front line. Like he, in the last 10 games, he's like, I'm not about to play Europa League. And he just kicked on and started cooking the last 10 games, 12 games specifically, started scoring goals. But Mane was obviously declining. Firmino, in my opinion, was declining as well. And you saw the signs of it in those 6 months because we weren't really as fluid as before. We weren't really cooking as before. Some people blamed it on like the center backs being out and it didn't allow us to play our system. But I never had that thought process. And it was the same thing for the Wijnaldum thing, by the way, because this background is distracting. It was the same thing with the Wijnaldum thing as well. Like, it's just, I was saying the same thing about Wijnaldum. I don't think like he should have continued at Liverpool Football Club, and we let him go that summer. We let him go. We brought in Thiago Thiago was the replacement, even though him and Wijnaldum played together. And I think that summer we signed. That's the summer where we signed Jota and Thiago. That was the summer that we signed Jota and Thiago, which was good signings. But Jota at the time was not looked at as Jota now. Let's be serious. Jota was looked at the time like probably like a Neto now or something. Like I don't know who he was looked at as, to be honest with you. Maybe he was looked at as someone like of a lesser like than what we think of him now. Basically, is what I'm saying. And we brought in Thiago, but it wasn't enough in my opinion because we still needed to do more because the player just wasn't on it. Like the forward line wasn't on it in my opinion, and we needed to get someone.
He just started clicking right away. Essentially, though, he did start playing well for us almost right away.
Yeah, he scored against Palace to begin with from the beginning.
Yeah, like so. Again, like that's if we want to talk about our like the ownership, or even I won't even say ownership because if anyone that's worked in corporate, right, like. As an owner, you hire your minions or your people to do the work for you. So I know when things go wrong in the transfer window or when things don't happen, the first people we say is FSG. They're the people that have the final say for sure in terms of signing things off. But you hire your sporting director to get the business done, which is why I'm looking at now. I've always trusted Edwards, which is why I've been relatively calm with all the contracts. I think they'll all. Well, I know VVD and Salah will get done. We'll talk about Trent in a bit. But I think now Hughes, I don't know. He looks like he's on fraud watch for me. He has to prove it to me, right? I've seen what Edwards has done, but now Hughes has been put in this position. I don't know what he does, right? So he has to prove himself to me. We'll see. But my point is that if our sporting director is bringing in these players, right, within our model, they're spending less. It's not a high profile signing, but look at Jota today. Clearly, if you remove the injury concerns, it was a great signing. It was a signing that was the right move to make. And I think over time, we've always done a really good job of doing that, right? Gakpo, he was slated for a while, his first year and a half, 2 years. Now he's turning into the player that he was touted as at the last World Cup, right? He was heavily rated at that point, right? It just took him a little bit of time. I think he was misprofiled by Klopp as well. But now that he's being profiled correctly, we're seeing like the fruits of it. So I just think the ownership, yes, they can spend more. But I think when I look at our actual run, the only team that got in our way of having a historic run essentially had, like, who do you think is a better coach or a manager, Guardiola or Klopp?
I think pound for pound, Klopp is better at like bringing more out of lesser individuals, if you would like. Like, I think Pep will take a B+ player and make him an A player, but Klopp can take a C player and make him an A player. Like, that's the thing that separated it for me. And Klopp has always worked with less. Klopp did it at Mainz. Klopp did it at Dortmund. Klopp did it at Liverpool. Klopp did not have an open checkbook to deal with. And it's funny you mentioned Gakpo, because Gakpo was a Linder's recommendation. and
Okay.
Klopp gave the go-ahead on that. So when you say there was no structure, the Gakpo signing, if anything, you need to credit Klopp because he was the quote-unquote sporting director at the time, and we went in for the signing. And the same thing with Diaz, you know. And when it comes to the Henderson contract, at the time, listen, a lot of us fell for the PR, me included, at the time. Like, we can sit up here saying hindsight we should have moved on from Henderson, but everyone fell for the PR. Like we have to be honest here. Like Henderson was being linked to Atletico Madrid and PSG, and we were all saying, oh, it's a disgrace that the Liverpool captain's contract is expiring and blah, blah. Like we all fell for that. So I was just saying the same stuff kind of at the time, and I'll own that. I'll own that because we should have moved. Yeah, we should have moved on from Henderson 100%. So that's where maybe Michael Edwards had vision for the future. But most of the people, I don't know what your opinion was at the time, so I'm not going to speak for you, but at the time, even myself, who isn't a fan of Henderson or anything, it was like, oh, we should keep him at least for the bench. Like, he can still contribute, he can still do this, he can still do that. And, you know, that was after the season where Henderson played like center back a little bit. You know, when everyone was injured and stuff. So everyone kind of fell for that PR. And there are people who were FSG out just because of the Henderson contract. Like, that was an actual valid reason at the time. Like, how do you let our captain's contract expire and not do anything and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's why for me, at the time, in hindsight, Edwards was right. But at the time, I'd say 90% of the Liverpool fans were with Klopp's side, which is, guys, can we stop saying Fabrizio update? He just said the same shit for the 500th time. If Liverpool won't accept a bid in January, then Madrid are going to offer him a contract in May. Wow, my mother knows this already. There's no update. He just said the same shit for the 15th time today. So yeah, he just needs, he's making his money with the blue tick, you get me? So let's not go watch Twitter ads so he can make money.
I've been mentioning Fabrizio, but
how many times has he said the same exact statement that they're telling us it's an update?
Yeah, it's not an update at all.
It's not an update. Like, oh, Madrid are going to offer him a contract. Wow, okay, Sherlock. Wow.
I think the Henderson thing, my issue was not necessarily that he got a contract, but I think the issue, and I think it was the same issue for Edwards at the time, was the length of it and the actual dollar value. I think that was clearly a mistake. Like a 4-year for him, plus we're going to keep Milner. Like, I think at that point we had to decide which one of them were going to play that role so that we could bring someone else in. Again, understanding how our model works, right? Edwards understood the model. Like, yo, if we want to bring someone else in, we have to create the room, right? That's just how our board works. So I think at that point, once it got vetoed, like, I think that was the start of our organizational like decline in a sense. Like, once he left, and then the next summer, Ward left. And then essentially that created the vacuum, in my opinion, that leads us here today to the situation we're in with Trent.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, once Ward...
Yeah, but before we get to the Trent situation, when you say stuff like model of success, a model of success does not bring you one league title and one Champions League in the whole Klopp era. Despite the fact that I think those 3 years, even one without winning a Champions League, was a success. But I think the years after that is where we have an issue. And I can only speak for myself at the end of the day. I'm not speaking for the whole fan base. But if we just spent a bit more money on these last like 4 years and invested properly into the squad, I don't think this 9-year tenure of Klopp ends in one title and one Champions League at all. I think there is a genuine possibility that we win at least one more Champions League and one more Premier League. I think this Klopp era will be looked at a lot more successful, you know, had we won, let's say, 4 of them, you know, one, because we did get to 3 Champions League finals. So it's not like we didn't get to any. We literally got to 3 Champions League finals. And actually, to be fair, in the final and the quadruple charge season, we were way better than Real Madrid. Courtois was man of the match. So we were like, it's not like we were this close to beating them. And in the Premier League, we decided to wake up January onwards and play chase with Manchester City, which is not a smart idea, even though we should have bought in forwards from before that. So when I talk about investment and willingness to win, you're talking about maybe Klopp's like loyalty towards players, which, yes, he was loyal to Henderson, and yes, he was the reason why he got a contract, and yes, he was the reason why Edwards like essentially left the club, which I have no problem saying. Like, I'm not saying Klopp is a saint, but at the same time, look, throughout this whole period, 9 years plus this first 6 months with Slot, there is only one common denominator that remains at Liverpool Football Club, because we can't You know, if you remember when the whole FIFA corruption thing was happening, and they were showing the tree of people that work under Sepp Blatter, and they were like, yeah, this guy, we caught him corrupt, this guy was corrupt, this guy's corrupt, this guy's corrupt, this guy's corrupt, this guy's corrupt. But it didn't take a genius to figure out that, yeah, Sepp was a bit corrupt as well, because there's no way everyone under him is corrupt, but the guy above him is not corrupt.
Yeah.
How can we, in a sane world, blame everyone else but the one common denominator over the last 9 years? Because in my honest opinion, there are transfer windows that we are paying for till this day. We were the most attractive club in Europe. You know, like Madrid level of attraction. We signed Sepp van der Berg, Harvey Elliott, and Adrian.
So
people will have short-term like thinking and go like, yeah, we won the league a year after. Yeah, but we won the league based off of what we did from before, not because of that transfer window. You should use that moment where you're attractive, splash the cash, spend money, upgrade the squad, take shit to the next level. But we were unable to do that. And Klopp has shown, despite his loyalty, this is Klopp's thought process, right? If you're going to bring me someone to bench Henderson, he better be elite. Which is why he wanted Bellingham, and he wanted Caicedo, and he wanted what's his name? Chouamani. Like, he wanted so many like players who went on to play for Real Madrid, who went on to play for the best of the best clubs, which makes you think like, okay, the guy had expensive taste in players, because his thought process is, okay, you think I'm too loyal? If you want me to get rid of Henderson, no problem, I'll get rid of him, but get me a world-class player that I can bench Henderson and I can rely on. You know, and that's where maybe the lack of agreement with the club comes in.
Right, but Husam, we have to also factor in, and like, let me get to your first point about if we spent more, like that success, what we would call successful period between, let's say, 17-18 and 19-20, we would have won more if we spent a bit more. I just feel as though at that point we had stacked our squad to the point where most Liverpool fans, and people will always say this about Liverpool fans, right? Where we'll say, we had the best goalie, we had the best center back, we had the best right back, left back, attack, like we had the best of everything essentially, right? We're putting up historic numbers that essentially, as I said, there's been 13 teams that have gotten 90 plus points in English football, and the only two that have lost have been those two Liverpool teams, the only ones. So we have to also look at it with context, where it's like, we're going up against Guardiola, who most or many consider the greatest coach ever, and we're going up against 130 charges, right? So it's not fair. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to Klopp. It's not fair to our ownership and our team. We still lost. There's no excuses for it. But to say that if they spent an extra 50 million on one player or whatever, that would have got us an extra couple points, like, at the end of the day, sometimes you're
but it was proven by the Diaz transfer, because we were 11 points behind Man City. We go spend, we change up the way we attack, and suddenly we're 1 point behind Man City at the end of the season. Transfers do make a difference. That's the reality of football.
For sure. But then you also have to give credit to Pep as well, where it's like he's proven over his career as well that he's a manager over a course of a 38-game season where he's going to find a way to win, right? If we look at 18-19, right? A lot of people say we deserve to win. We only lost once. But who was that one loss to?
Man City.
So how can we say we deserve, like, as great as we were amazing. That team, like, when it went to head, they beat us, right?
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with 18-19 because that was our first title challenge. First, under Klopp. So I don't have a problem with it because the players are not used to it and they need to get experience and blah, blah, blah. I don't have a problem with that season, us not winning the league. It's the years after that I have an issue with.
So 19-20 we win. 2021 VVD goes down. We wouldn't have, when VVD
and you agreed that FSG is to blame that season. You said that yourself.
But I don't think even if we got a center back, it was guaranteed, because VVD is literally our most important player. There's a very good chance we would have still lost that year.
Yeah, but we were top of the league even without Van Dijk when Gomez and Matip were fit. We were still, like, we would have beaten 3/4 of the team in the league.
For sure, but do you think over the course of a season we could serve, like, if those two stayed fit, you think we still would have beat that City team? I don't think.
Yeah, because we were literally top.
Yeah,
we were literally top. I remember didn't we go to Spurs away, I swear, and we beat them even with Van Dijk out?
Yeah, but again, Husam, this is what we say about now. Like, at that point, we were halfway through the season. Like, anything can. I personally Same thing when Rodri went down this season. Everyone had to wait and see. I said right away, City's like, my eyes were off of City. Yeah, they might pick up results. I didn't think they'd be as bad as they are now. I thought they'd still kind of maintain, but I figured they wouldn't win the league without Rodri. You can't replace that. So same with that season. I think we could have done more to at least sustain, but I don't think we were ever going to win that season once VVD went down. Same thing this year. If VVD goes down, if we go sign a center back in January now, like if VVD was out for the season right now and we signed a center back, I think there's a very good chance we could lose the league from this point, genuinely.
Yes, but here's the difference between I'll put it to you in this analogy right here. You're telling me you're gonna shoot me, and I might get hurt anyway. But you can have a bulletproof vest.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a chance of survival if you have a bulletproof vest, because these little details that we're talking about are the difference between us winning and us not winning. Like that Diaz transfer, if that happens in the summer instead of January, because obviously Mane was falling off, because obviously Firmino fell off, we could have went on to actually win the league that season, because when Diaz came on, he switched up the whole way we played. Diaz left wing, Salah right wing, Mane down the middle. Mane, you've lost your pace, but guess what? You're still a good finisher. You go down the middle. If that started from August instead of it starting from January, different season. The center back season, okay, but because your argument can't be there is no guarantees. Yeah, but our whole conversation today, from beginning to end, will have no guarantees. Like, it's not. Football is not about guaranteeing trophies. Football is about putting yourself in the best possible position to win trophies. And I don't think the club has done that, which is why earlier on, like when you said, who are you going to give credit to? If we win the league this season, the biggest credit goes to Arne Slot. 100% the biggest credit goes to Arne Slot. And the second biggest credit goes to the players, because we won the league in spite of the fact that FSG are owners. Essentially, we went into a title race with Manchester City and Arsenal. We have a rock in a bag on our back, and we still beat them. So that's why Arne Slot deserves the biggest credit if we win the league this season. It's not about crediting FSG. It's not about crediting Michael Edwards or Richard Hughes.
I'm not saying that. I would agree. I would say Arne Slot would get that credit. But then that would counter the points that a lot of our fan base has said for years about Klopp. Like, you would have to look at Klopp last year and say, you weren't getting the best out of it's the exact same team. What is the difference?
I'll tell you the difference. I think there's revisionism on the Klopp career. Last season,
last season we were top of the league.
Let's actually go through it. Let's go through it, because I think.
Okay, let's go through it. Last season we were top of the league. Factually, we were top of the league, ahead of both Arsenal and Manchester City, ahead of them both. You were watching me in January. You said you watched the channel. Everyone in the chat, put one in the chat if you remember me specifically doing shows with Tom Little in January and telling you, guys, we cannot win this league if we do not sign a forward. I said it about 3,000 different times. I repeated that statement 1 million times. And you can talk about the defense. Klopp never had, like, oh my God, focuses on defense. That's not his style. He won the league with his style.
Like 18, 19, and 19, 20, we were a very good defensive team. We were not letting goals in, Husam. Klopp has always been an offense-first manager, but the years we actually won is when our defense was stacked. The last 2 or 3 years, like, we've fallen off a cliff in that regard completely. And last year was a great example of that. And I think a lot of that, you can't look anywhere but the manager, especially because this season, Slot is taking the exact same roster, and look at what he's producing with it. These players were still there. Like, we can
but that actually proves that then Klopp left us in a good place.
Perfect example.
He didn't leave us in a bad place. And there are examples this season of where we did go 1-0 down. Like, we went 1-0 down to Leicester. Like, you can concede the first goal. Like, lately, it's not like we've been keeping clean sheets left, right, and center. That was more the start of the season, you know. But we've conceded first against Brighton at home. Many examples. But if the players on the pitch do not perform and do not, like, deliver in front of goal, as an example, you can't win, whether it's Slot or Klopp or whoever system.
Husam, it was every game. Like, I remember, like, I have PTSD from last year. It was damn near every game. And if you've played sports, it's like, you can't just look at things like in isolation. You have to look at it over the course of a season. That wears on the players. There's a reason we had all the injuries we had. Like, you're chasing the game every fucking game. Like, the main difference I love when I'm watching Liverpool this season, like, our players are literally, it reminds me of when I used to watch City when we were like in title races with them, where it's like, yo, our players are resting during the 90 minutes. Like that West Ham game looked like a training game. Like, our players were resting, kicking the ball around, scoring, having fun. Like, they barely ran. That was never the case under Klopp. Even when we would be winning, we'd still be running around, and like, we can't act as if that didn't contribute to some of the injuries which hampered us and stopped us from winning titles, right? Like, it had an impact. And if we look at last year, there's a long list of mistakes that we can clearly see Klopp made. Like, we were playing Maka in the 6 when we had Gravenberch there on the bench. Yes, we can say it's hindsight about Gravenberch, but it's like, if you just look from a physical profile perspective, if I'm a coach and I'm looking at these two players, who do I want to try in this role, or who do I want to coach into this role? It's obvious that Gravenberch has more of the physical characteristics.
Yeah, but Gravenberch couldn't have played 6 in the club system. It's impossible for him to play it because the 6 in the club system is all about shielding and tackling and stuff like this. He couldn't have done that.
So then you have to adjust. That's what I'm saying, Husam. You have to adjust based on who.
He wanted to adjust. He wanted Caicedo.
No, but what I'm saying is, with the players you have, we don't have Caicedo this year. You have to adjust. How many of us were saying last year, switch to a 4-2-3-1, go to a double pivot? Like, Maka could not play a solo pivot. Like, that's why he was getting ran through last year and we dropped points. But as I'm saying, Klopp has his one way of playing, and it is what it is. I don't want to get on Klopp. I'm just saying, like, yo, we have to admit the facts about Klopp. He's a great manager. In terms of our modern Prem history, obviously the best manager we've had. But this season is putting it on Front Street for everybody that there are ways he could have been better. Gakpo,
If we win. You haven't gotten the job done yet.
For sure. It's still early. Gakpo was screaming at it. Like, every interview he had, he kept saying, I'm a left winger. I am not a striker. He kept literally every single interview last season. He kept saying it. Now he's getting put there, and we're seeing the fruits of it.
Yeah, but sometimes Klopp did play him there through necessity, to be fair.
Well, to me now, Slot's made it clear that that's his position. Like, I think he's the starting left winger, and then Diaz is going to rotate that.
No, I understand, but I'm saying from a Klopp perspective, the reason why he played him there, I think sometimes was through necessity because of injuries. Jota and the donkey, you see, so one of them was out, one of them was blah blah blah. And by the way, we had a whole list of injuries last season. You can say, listen, it's easy to say the style contributes to it, but this season we've had injuries as well. I mean, Jota was injured, Konate is injured, Simicas injured, Alisson injured. I have never blamed Klopp for an injury, and I will never blame Slot for an injury. Like, you have my word, I will never do this. And by the way, if you want even a different club, last season I was arguing with Chelsea fans who tried to blame Pochettino for injuries. I'm like, you can't blame a manager for injuries. You just can't. It's not Slot's fault that Tosin fell on Jota, broke his ribs. It is not Slot's fault that, Endrick just decided to charge into Konate at the end of the game when we were beating Madrid 2-0. That's not Slot's fault. And if Klopp was here, it's not his fault. Now, I understand certain styles may ask you for more physical, like more physically demanding, where the gegenpress, you run around a bit more, etc. Now, with McAllister, I think even with him playing in the 6th last season, he was our best midfielder. Like, he was, in my opinion, our best midfielder.
That's once we bedded in Endo and McAllister could kind of move into his more natural position. When he was playing the 6, it did not look good. Like, Maka did not look great in that 6th position, especially in the big games. We were getting ran all over, and I just think Klopp I just think he left at the right time. As much as I love him, like, I think he left at the right time. These players needed a new voice, and like, the way we're playing actually fits the players we have, right? Because for years, like, Liverpool fans were screaming out for technicians in our midfield, right? We were used to workhorses, Milners, Hendos, those types. Then we got the technicians, but we were still playing them like workhorses, right? Slot has come in now, and you're seeing our midfielder. They're playing football. We're playing through the middle. Like, McAllister's like, he's finding that form now that he can play in that pocket that we've always wanted him to.
Yeah, but that's more style and system.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The system now fits our players better. We're defending better. Like, we're not giving up those same counterattacks. We're not wide open. Trent's not.
Not all the players, to be fair. Some do. Some did look better under Klopp, in my opinion.
Okay, like who?
I mean, Jota definitely looked better in the Klopp system, 100%, because Jota was more about like.
I think even Nunez looked better under.
Yeah, even Nunez, like he managed to make that. You know why I have so much hatred for Darwin Nunez, and it is hatred, and hate is not a big word for me. The reason why I have so much hatred for him is genuinely, if he just scored half his big chances last season, we're Premier League champions. I'm genuinely not even exaggerating. If he just scored the tap-ins that he was supposed to score, we're fully sat here Premier League champions, and we say, thank you, Klopp, you left us in a very good place. Slot is taking over, and we're going to go back to back, and blah, blah, blah. He genuinely stopped us from winning a league title. Him and Diaz's performances last season. But I acknowledge Diaz is playing a lot better under Slot. Gakpo is playing a lot better under Slot. Gravenberch is playing a lot better under Slot. But there are certain players where I can't factually say they're playing better yet, because it's like a bit up and down, like a Szoboszlai, for example. Yep. He's sometimes like, okay, damn, Szoboszlai is playing really well. Sometimes it's like, shit, what is Szoboszlai doing, as an example? Robertson 100% looked way better under Klopp. The fullbacks definitely looked better under Klopp, because they were like the main creators, in my opinion. Yeah. Keeper, anyway, like Alisson is the best keeper in the world, regardless whether it's Klopp or Slot. So,
do you have any? I don't know if anyone else.
Kwanzaa looked better under Klopp, as an example.
Like, do you have any, like, since, and maybe it's just because he just came back from injury, but Alisson, I don't know. The last few games, I'm getting a little concerned. I don't know. It hasn't.
Are you talking about like from a football perspective?
I just think there's certain goals he's let in that are not, like Alisson normally I feel would save. Like I don't know. I hope he finds it again. He's just coming back from injury.
Yeah, but he just came back, to be honest with you. That's the thing. I think Alisson is quite injury prone for a goalkeeper, because you expect goalkeepers to be fit most of the time. But even like you look at Courtois, and hell, even he had an injury where they had to play Lunin, but the difference between us and Madrid fans is Madrid fans don't go over the top and say Lunin should start ahead of Courtois. We had some people in this fan base talking about Keller should start ahead of Alisson. Just absolutely stupid. But we'll come back to the conversation in a bit. Let me just do this quickly. Big up to everyone locked in as well. Let's get to 200 likes. We're at 170 likes. Let's just get to 200 likes ASAP. As a Chelsea fan, is FSG deluded not renewing Salah? We're going to talk about that, I promise you. We're working our way through to the contract situation, and we're going to address it as a whole with both Klopp, with both Salah and Van Dijk, and we'll talk about Trent as well. So, yeah. Side note, even if Nunez joins AC Milan, there's no guarantees he doesn't miss his flight. I will personally, genuinely, I will take a flight from Jordan to John Lennon Airport in Liverpool, and I will personally drive him to the airport happily, and I will give all the air hostesses a kiss on the forehead, and I will kiss the pilot on the forehead, and I'll tell you, thank you, Habibi, for removing this team from our... I think, and I stick by it, and I'm a man of my word, if we just sell Nunez in January, it's a 10 out of 10 window. Well done. Well done to everyone at the club, because we got rid of the worst player in this whole team, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Strengthen in a position of power. Fergie did it. In doing it to future-proof as well. We got to the pinnacle. And didn't push on complacency and arrogance. And this is the thing that I was trying to explain to Emica. Look, this is Klopp's perspective, because life is about perspective. You have your perspective, I have mine. Let's try to look at Klopp's perspective. Klopp's perspective is the following. The same group of players won me the Champions League, won me the Premier League. Mm-hmm. Unless you're going to get me a player that's going to make me think about dropping one of these, I don't want him. Mm-hmm. So Klopp's perspective is, okay, Konate, you're the best defender at Leipzig, not Upamecano. We have the centre-back crisis. Let's go get Konate. If you're going to recommend me a midfielder, if you're going to bring me someone, it better be Tchouaméni. It better be Bellingham. It better be Caicedo. It better be like the best of the best. Bellingham went to Real Madrid when he was supposed to join us. And let's not forget, in March time, people were talking about Jude Bellingham winning a Ballon d'Or before Vinicius scored like 2 goals in the Champions League semi-final and stuff. People were talking about Bellingham winning Ballon d'Or, so he was an upper echelon. Caicedo is currently Chelsea's best player. Mm-hmm. Tchouaméni would start for us this day. So it's not like the guy did not want to strengthen, but he made it clear, yo, I'm loyal to these players. Unless you bring me someone who can like, yo, make me think about dropping one of these guys, I don't want him. Don't bring me no random guy. Like, that was his thought process.
That way, Husam. We still operate that way. Like, for example, we're gonna go get Zubamendi, right? That's what we consider to be at that upper echelon of like, you're gonna actually compete.
But did you say what Guillem Balaguer said today? I mentioned it in the stream. He said that Zubamendi is apparently open to a move, but Liverpool aren't going to go back in for him. Liverpool, as things stand, and me and you will talk about it in a second. I think we just operate on stupidity at this point. Big up to Rolls Red, who says top Reds will give FSG the credit and they'll use the title win as an excuse to not spend again. They've done it before, they'll do it again. 100%. And look, Emica is not a top Red.
No,
Emica is not a top Red. Emica actually is because he establishes, at least, and he has said this from the start, so I give him credit. He said, listen, I know that John is not trying to win. Like, Emica knows this. He knows that it's about business for him and blah, 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 and he's looking more from a business perspective. Like, he's not here to defend Fenway Sports Group, but he's talking more about the stuff that Klopp did that also affected, because even he agrees that most of the blame is on FSG, but we're kind of disagreeing on the bit where we blame Klopp on, like how much percentages, if you would like, is what we're talking about. So, yeah, like, and by the way, if we win the league this season, bro, the guy that deserves credit is Arne Slot and the players. Those are the ones that deserve credit, because Arne Slot walked in and we did not have a Moyes situation. We did not have an Emery situation after Wenger. We did not have any bad situation like that. He walked in and he won the league with the squad that he completely inherited with no additions whatsoever. So for me, this shows that Arne Slot is unfortunately Guardiola's here, that Arne Slot is the second best manager in the league, probably third in the world behind Ancelotti and Pep. Like, there's no one else that can talk to him in the whole planet, because you walk him after a historical figure leaves and you win a league title without signing anyone. That is the biggest like middle finger to anyone who doubted him, including myself and including everyone, because it's not a joke. It's not a joke what Slot is done with this team. FSG has taken the club as far as they can. They should leave LFC now. LFC won't take the next step under them and dominate like Madrid. And this is where, we'll continue now the conversation, and let Emica as well express his thoughts on this whole thing. Look, big up everyone. As I said, make sure you guys are liking. Are we at 200 likes yet? By the way, Emica, it wasn't even us lagging, because I just watched us on YouTube. We're both in HD 180p. It's just StreamYard bugging out. Guys, we're 20 likes away from 200 likes. Let's get to 200 likes ASAP. Hit the like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Look, here's the problem with FSG. Getting to the mountaintop is something, and staying at the mountaintop is something. Me and you are going to time travel now together. Imagine me and you are having this conversation in 2020. We just lifted the Champions League. I tell you, Emica, for the next 4 years, we will win 0 UCLs and 0 Premier Leagues. And on top of that, Arsenal are going to finish above us twice in a title race. United are going to finish above us once. Newcastle are going to finish above us once. If I told you that in 2020, you would have told me I would be FSG out. I would hate everything about this club. There is absolutely no way that would happen. When you get to the mountaintop, staying at the mountaintop is the difficult part. That's the part where it's like, now you have to establish yourself, which is why I always refer to the Harvey Elliott, Sepp van den Berg, and Adrian transfer window. And I tell people, guys, push to the side that we won the league the year after, because they're not the reason why we won the league. The reason why we won the league is Van Dijk, Salah, Alisson, Klopp, Trent, Robertson. The best players are the reasons, alongside the manager. Mm-hmm. We're paying for that transfer window till this day, because we didn't utilize the fact that you just won the Champions League. Mbappe did an interview about us, calling us a machine. He was giving Klopp credit, like in the interview, he was talking about Salah and how unbelievable Liverpool looked. And I know for a fact that John W. Henry met with not John W. Henry, the other guy, Tom Werner, met with Mbappe's mom in Monaco and everything. So it's someone that we've wanted for a long time. But we got to the mountaintop, and ever since then, the same peasants who me and you were looking down on, Arsenal, are now challenging us. Arsenal are challenging us for a Premier League title. The other clubs are coming closer and closer and closer and closer. And it's almost like we're sat there with the same old climbing gear, while the others have all the upgraded 2024, new shit, that makes you go like, wait, Arsenal are in a title race with me. How the fuck are Arsenal in a title race with me? How are they in a title with me? Salah, Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, and you're challenging me for a league title.
That's what I was telling you in September, though.
Say that again, sorry?
That's what I was telling you in September, remember? I was like, don't put Arsenal on the same level as our players, please. I don't care who they signed in the summer. If we're healthy, even if we're not healthy, we're damn near better than them last year. We just lost one too many players. But my issue with
last season we had like 10 injuries. I saw that. I don't know if you saw the graphic on.
I saw it.
Yeah, bro, we had a lot of injuries.
But that's why when I had the conversation with you, that's why I had that confidence. I'm like, yo, we were this close to these guys basically till game week 31 with literally 7 or 8 starters out. Like, bro, Arsenal's not. They're a good team, and I think Arteta actually deserves more credit than people give him. They just don't have the play, like they don't have the attackers we have. They don't have the world-class talent we have, but he's a good coach. Like he's done a good job with them, but we clearly have better players and players that have actually won it before. So I would always give us that edge if both of our teams are fully healthy, easily.
I hear you. So on the like staying at the mountaintop point, do you agree that the main reason, if you would like, why we did not remain at the mountaintop is the ownership group?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So, and I think it's simple, like, and this is where I actually think now the FSG out claims hold a bit more weight is the current, like you described it perfectly. It's one thing to get to the mountaintop. It's another thing to stay there. And a lot of people talk about American owners, and if you understand the business of how these owners work, specifically FSG, like private equity backed firms who buy these basically what they call distressed assets, and their goal is essentially to buy a football club that has heritage like a Liverpool, build it up, like, you know, upgrade the stadium, upgrade the training facilities, etc. Like make it actually like a proper club. And then 10 years or 15 years down the line, increase the valuation and ultimately sell it. And anyone that's invested in that private equity firm now gets their returns, right? They get their bonuses, etc. And the evidence to me that it's pretty much time soon for FSG to get out, unless they're planning to change their model, was in 2022 when they put the team up for sale, right? That was their own acknowledgement that we.
Yep.
That's when I'm like, yep. They've achieved their objective. We bought Liverpool 10 or 15 years ago for 300 million. It's worth 3 or 4 or 5 billion now. That was their objective, which is why I feel like, as I said, that period that we talked about, Husam, where we actually had some decent success, I actually think they were really good owners. Like they actually built us up to this level where we can be proud as Liverpool fans. Like we went through some dark times, obviously, right? We're actually in a position where we're competing at the highest level every year, and we expect to compete. They have to get credit for that. Whether people like it or not, they have to get credit for bringing us to that point. Kudos to them. But now that we're here and we have world-class talent that actually wants to stay, you have to do what's required to keep them here. And even from a business perspective, it only makes sense. It doesn't make sense if you want to maintain the value of your asset. It doesn't make sense to let Trent go for free, Virgil go for free, Salah go for free. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense. Whatever you're saving on their wages, you're going to lose on the money you're losing when your team is not as successful, not able to attract brand sponsorships. These guys are global brands now, right? In part because they play for Liverpool, so we play a part in that as well. But obviously because of the fact that they're actually world-class players. Well, my whole thing has always been, a lot of our fans are hysterical about the contracts. I've genuinely been calm because I understand how these owners work. I think I'm almost certain their plan is.
Did you do your homework on Mookie Betts, like I said?
Yeah, so that one was that.
Is it fair to say Mookie Betts is like the Mo Salah of the world right now?
Yes. What I'll say, Husam, though, is where they're different, where that situation is different, is that move for them to let go of him actually aligned with everything I'm saying about how these owners work. They want to basically keep costs as low as possible, maximize profits everywhere, so get as much sponsorship, get as much ticket revenue. You know, they wanted to increase like the capacity of Anfield so they can get more revenue, right? It's all revenue and then keeping costs down. For the Red Sox at that time, I think they had just won the World Series the year before, and then their actual payroll was the highest in the entire league. So they said no. Their goal was to bring their wage bill down to, I guess, around the middle or whatever. So that them making that move kind of made sense. In the case we're in now, so our weekly,
It made sense, but they haven't won the World Series ever since.
so
And
sorry.
Mookie Betts went on to the Dodgers and won 2 World Series.
No, from a sporting perspective, it makes zero sense. You don't let go of your. I'm saying from their
Well, that's what we care about, Emica. At the end of the day, we're Liverpool fans. We want to see our team win. I don't care about the accountant side of things from Liverpool. It's not like we're going to get liquidated, you know?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it makes sense based on their model. I'm saying I can look at that situation and say, okay, based on their model, this makes sense. Their costs were too high on payroll. This player wants so much money. Let's get rid of him. In our situation, our payroll is nowhere near the highest. It's actually, I think we're at like our weekly wages are about 2.4 million. The highest we got to was like 3.2 2 or 3 years ago. So we actually have
Mo literally earns less than Rashford.
There's room there. There's actually room there for them to actually pay these guys. So for me, as a sporting project, right? If you want to maintain the value of Liverpool and you want them to continue winning, there's no economical explanation from their perspective to not give these guys these contracts. Specifically, if we look at Virgil and we look at Salah, I think people, again, I want to be as fair as possible. Rationally speaking, they are both at an age now where the argument of just give these guys whatever they want, however many years they want, that doesn't actually make sense anymore. Like if you actually look even historically, and for example, before we got on the call, I went and I looked at Real, right? The last 15 years. I just looked at their squad. I wanted to see how many players they actually had, like year by year, because you say over the last 15 years, they've been the most successful team, right?
Yeah, they have been,
Yeah. So how many players did they actually have on their team every year over the age of, let's say, 32, the age that Salah's at now, right? Going on 33. And if you look, that's essentially the age when they let all these guys go. If you recall, back in 2019, when Ronaldo went to Juve, it was a big standoff between him and Perez, right? He wanted more money, right? He was still at the peak of his powers. He went to Juve and he had, I think, at least 1.5 years where he was still Ronaldo. But Perez is like, yo, at your age, I'm not giving you more money all these years. You're still that guy, but that downturn is going to come at some point. We have to accept that. For Salah and VVD, at some point in the next 2 or 3 years, there's going to be a point where we look at them and it's like, it's not the same. They're still going to be professional. They're still going to work out, but Father Time is undefeated, right? So smart football clubs, you do have to protect yourself in terms of how many years am I giving a player that's 30 plus. They have to do that. So I completely understand our board doing that. And as I said, the point on Real, Ronaldo, they let go at 32. Ramos, they let go at 34. Benzi, they let go at 34. Marcelo, 33. Bale, 32. Pepe, 33. So that's generally when the elite clubs are like, okay, we need to start looking in another direction. I think VVD and Salah are different just because they're setting a new standard for professionalism and just athletic ability, right? These guys look like they can at least, in VVD's case, at least 2 more years. So this year, next year, and I think the year after, he should still look like VVD. I think that third year is when we'll probably see that downturn. Salah, I think same thing. This year, he'll be good. Next year, for sure, he'll be good. I think that year after is when we'll probably see a difference, right? So if we're actually going to be smart and sustainable, we can't set up our payroll where we're giving Salah 400K 3 years from now, and then VVD the same thing, 250 3 years from now, and they're not capable physically of actually carrying the team the way they do now, right? So I think those deals, if I'm being honest, I think they're going to get done because the players want to stay, the team wants them to stay. They're just going to work out the numbers and make it make sense. Do you agree with that? Or do you
Not
think
necessarily. And I'll tell you why I don't agree with it. Look,
leave.
The Ronaldo example you gave with Perez, Ronaldo left in 2018, and Real Madrid proceeded for 3 years after that, after three-peating, not winning the Champions League. So that decision was wrong. And there are Madridistas that will tell you the decision to let Ronaldo go in 2018 was a wrong decision. There are Madridistas who wish that he stayed and they gave him whatever he wanted because like they probably would have won at least one or two of those Champions League and had a lot more successful run at the time. 3 years after that, they did not win the Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
And also there are examples of Real Madrid making exceptions to the rule. Case in point, Luka Modric. Case in point, Toni Kroos. Case in point, multiple different players who they've went like, okay, yeah, you're old. And yes, I have this rule where I don't like to keep these old ass players, but because you're so good, I'm going to give you an extension.
And
Now with the
extensions, remember that Modric has like for the last 3 years, Modric has been on rolling 1-year contract.
yeah, I know, but if like Mo is 37 and he's still performing at an elite level, I have no problem with us giving him 1-year contracts either. But at this point,
Salah's not going to leave Husam. Like I just don't think we have to worry about that. He's not.
No, but I'm saying like because you brought up the whole age thing with Mo right now. Look, the way that he takes care of his body, the fact that he doesn't drink, the fact that he's obviously like from that perspective alone, physically, I think he can go till he's 35. And we have positive examples in the past. Karim Benzema, speaking of contract extensions, Karim Benzema winning a Ballon d'Or age 34. Lewandowski's 35, scoring goals in La Liga. I know he's going through a bad run right now, but he still is the top goal scorer of La Liga. So it's not like he's just an average player. He's not just a regular guy. I mean, I would take Lewandowski at Liverpool right now, even at his age. So he's not like an average player. There are positive examples of players who did stay beyond their 30s and have their best years. Now, if I have someone who has a very good injury record, alhamdulillah, hopefully he never gets injured, and is consistent, and actually you could say right now probably is having, I mean, in my opinion at least, probably having his best season at this age. Even if he does drop off a little bit, how many wingers in world football do you think he outscores? How many wingers in world football do you think he out assists? Like even if he drops off 90% of them, 85% of them, 80% of them, 70% of them, that still is good enough to be successful. So I'm not looking at a Henderson situation. I'm looking at players who have quality at the highest level, meaning Van Dijk is the best centre back in the world. Salah is the best winger player in the world currently, which is why if they do want a 2 to 3 year contract extension, I would give it to them. And I would be willing to take that risk in order to keep the best of the best at my club. I would be willing to take the risk of maybe them falling off towards the last 3 year, just because I know they're going to give me minimum 2 years of greatness.
But I agree. But I'm saying, I think we're both saying the same thing. I'm saying like these two are clearly outliers, just like Benzema, just like Lewandowski. They're clear outliers at their age. So I think that Edwards is not a stupid guy. Like he can see, everyone in the world can see what Salah's doing right now. He's going to get signed. They're just going to work out the years and the amounts. He's going to get his money. And Ornstein came out and essentially said the same thing, right? There's no one's worried on the Liverpool side or player side about those deals getting done. I don't think the timing of it, I don't know if you saw the quote from VVD where he's like, yeah, there's no January deadline or whatever. We're calm. Like it's, those deals I don't think we have to worry about. I think the one worth talking about obviously is Trent. Based on
but can I tell you why we should worry about them?
Okay.
And I gave you this example earlier on. Let's say inshallah you wake up tomorrow happy, safe and healthy. Inshallah everyone watching this and everyone in the world. And you look at your phone as soon as you wake up and you see PSG wants Salah, Real Madrid wants Salah, Bayern Munich wants Salah, they're all calling him. Then what happens? Same with Van Dijk.
I'm glad you said that.
This is here the $1 million question. And then what? Because we're sat here all relaxed and shit. Factually, it's not opinionated. Like it's factually, they can sign pre-contract agreements with other clubs.
For sure.
Salah has made it public that he wants to stay. Van Dijk has made it public that he wants to stay. Players of that ilk, you should never play around with, ever. Because there are always teams that are interested in them. As we speak right now, Barcelona could want Van Dijk. And for a Dutch man, that's a dream club. Cruyff, the links historically with Barcelona. Salah, Any club in the world would take him right now, and he starts for every team in world football right now. So I think we're getting too much in our comfort zone where we're sat there going like, we're in a relationship, we're in a marriage. Your wife looks amazing, but you get comfortable because you have her anyway. So start to get fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter, and all of a sudden you're no longer attractive, and all of a sudden you go to the beach, you take your top off, and you have a stomach like a pregnant woman, but your wife is a 10 out of 10 next to you. She's gonna go like, yo, this is unacceptable. So at some point in time, we can sit here and we can be relaxed, but at what point in time does the relaxedness go? Because me and you, had we had this conversation in August, I would also be relaxed. I'd be like, listen, we've got 6 months to handle this shit. We're going to handle it in 6 months. And that's what I said 6 months ago. Yeah. But 6 months later, January is now here. Florentino Perez, the psychopath, could wake up tomorrow and want Salah. And then he gets the call from Madrid. And then the same fan base that vilifies Trent would vilify Salah as well, even though he publicly said he wants to stay.
I agree. And I don't know if because again, a lot of the stuff we're reading about is rumors. So it's just about what you want to believe. But I don't know if you believe some of the rumors that even say that VVD and Salah stuff is essentially done already. The goal was to announce all of them together. So they're essentially done. They're just waiting to be announced. Again, we'll see what happens. I think we're in a different place in football in terms of a lot of the big power players don't have money like that, like they used to. Like, I agree with you. If this was like Barca 10 years ago, I'd definitely be concerned because they could come in, VVD, come, let's go. They don't got bread like that right now. So I'm not concerned about them. PSG, that's almost like going to Saudi at this point. Like, I don't think players view that project the way they did 10 years ago when Neymar went there.
But Mo and the PSG owner are friends. Okay. Like actually friends.
Okay, fair enough. I just
think literally pictures of them having dinner together.
Okay, fair enough. So again, it's possible. I just think based on everything being reported, I think it sounds like those two contracts are essentially done. The one that's causing the most uproar, I think, is obviously Trent, right? Which was the basis of this conversation.
I will get to it in a second. Let me just read these two last super chats before we move on. You're winning this season, Don. Lol, phase 1 slot, But it's not phase 1, Netweed. It's not phase 1 because Klopp did not leave behind a mess. Klopp did not leave us in a bad place where Slot has to come in and sign 10 players and change up the whole thing. Klopp left behind a world-class squad. Now, if you want to speak tactically and from other directions, no problem. But this is not phase 1 Slot. Slot has come into a much better team. Phase 1 is like when Klopp first walked in. Like, that's phase 1. This is not phase 1. There is no phase 1 with world-class players. You get me? And I do hope we do win this season. Big up to Jenny, who says, I honestly don't think American owners work in this environment. They don't understand global football and try to apply the US sports model. Very naive. And I agree with Jenny. Jenny's an American as well, as you can see from the $sign. So I agree with this completely, but at least there are American winners that have ambition and want to win, and like a Todd Bowley, like whoever, like they still see winning as the main thing in the sport. The problem that we have with FSG is they're not looking at winning as the main thing of sport, and what kind of swipes to the side, if you would like, the whole Klopp loyalty argument is Slot came in, he don't have loyalty to none of these players. Literally, Klopp, like Slot, does not have loyalty to any of these players. He went to the club, says, I want to get a DM, I want to get a midfielder, and they got him no one. So Slot didn't get what he wants either. So it can't be just Klopp loyalty, Klopp loyalty, Klopp loyalty. That's just factually, this is just disingenuous from that perspective. And I agree with you. Listen, at the end of the day, I think had we had like Arab owners at Liverpool Football Club, this whole conversation would never be a conversation. They would all had extensions already. We would have signed players already. We would have been successful, even a lot more than we are under this ownership, in my opinion. But anyway, we're gonna get to the Trent contract stuff now. So big up to all of you guys. Let me check the like count, guys. We haven't hit 200 likes yet. This has actually been a fantastic conversation. No, we have hit 200 likes, so well done. Let's target 250 next. Big up to all of you guys. Big up all the super chatters: Dinishan, Redline, Teranga, Gagandi, Proles, Red, GB Lama, and Netweed. Big up to all of you guys. Keep getting the likes up, keep subscribing. So the Trent contract thing, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the conversation that I've been seeing around Trent has been focused on the owners, and again, I don't want to make it sound like they don't have their part to play in all this, but at the end of the day, if we go through the timeline of how we got here, I think it's pretty obvious that it was essentially Trent and his team's plan to be in the situation that he's in right now. And I actually don't fault him for that specifically. I think if you're an elite athlete, as he views himself as, being offered a 6-year contract at 22, especially at his position, if he feels because he obviously feels I'm the best at my position, right? So I'm 22.
Yeah.
They're going to offer me a good wage. What is it, 180K or whatever it is? But he believes in himself. He believes I'm going to perform over the next 3 or 4 years, and I'm going to be able to get more. Other teams are going to want me. That'll push my wage up, etc. So I don't fault him for turning down the 6 years and taking 4 years so that he'd be essentially a free agent at this prime of his career. What I take issue with is the discussion around putting 100% of the blame of what we're seeing from Trent on the ownership without actually looking at the guy himself. Now, I want to caveat that by saying there's obviously still a possibility Trent signs. There's still a possibility that he stays.
Of course, 100%. Yeah.
I don't want to, and I don't think
We could literally see Trent extension news tomorrow. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Right. So I don't think anyone, because I'm seeing a lot of calls for people to boo him at the stadium, and I don't think it's time for that. Right. I don't think it's time for that yet. Let's see how things play out. But I think with the Trent situation, we actually have to, like, because what I did is I was very similar to the other 2 contracts. I was very confident in Trent getting done. And my main sticking point was I just couldn't see the Scouser in the team leaving for free. That was always my sticking point. This is not to say we all know who Real Madrid is. We all know that for football players, that's the destination club for a lot of them, right? A lot of them grew up watching the greatest players ever play for that club. So it makes sense. If they want you, it says a lot about who you are. So it makes it, I don't think anyone should fault him for his ears perking up if Real is knocking on his door. There's absolutely no issue with that. Where I think every Liverpool fan should have issue with, and I don't understand a Liverpool fan who doesn't, is for him to make a decision where he ends up leaving on a free. I don't agree with that in any which way. So I think there's been numerous examples in football, even recently. Like, let's look at Grealish, where they sign, especially homegrown players, will sign a contract with the club that they know they're leaving and say, whatever, we're going to put a release clause in here so that you guys are going to get some money. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go do my thing. No hard feelings, right? It's another thing when you're saying, I'm going to leave my boyhood club essentially on a free, and let's make no mistakes about it. We can say whatever we want about ambition and the owners, but if we actually look at all Trent has known in his actual footballing life, playing for like Liverpool as a professional for the first team, all he's known is challenging for the Prem, winning. He's basically completed football at 26 years old, right? Let's have it, right? So what I believe, and then we come into this season, and what I truly believe, and again, once that news from Marca dropped a few days ago, was the first time I was like, oh wait, they're like, this looks like this isn't what I foresaw coming. Because clearly, for them to make that bid, Trent, you've given them some sort of indication that they should do this, right? You can hide behind I want this to be played out in the background. I don't want this to be played out in public. But now clearly Real Madrid has said, fuck you, like, we're going to put this on Front Street for everybody, right? So I'm like, let me look back at how, like, even just this year, right? So if I look back when Trent, because I remember when Klopp was leaving, and I remember seeing Trent crying, and I'm like, I obviously knew they had, like, him and Klopp had an affinity, but I was like, okay, I didn't know. It was just a little bit, it's something I noticed. And I think now looking back, I think those tears had more to do with potentially him thinking this might be it for me at Liverpool, more so than Klopp leaving, is what I genuinely believe. Because if you remember, the first time Fabrizio tweeted about Real's interest was back in March even. So at that time, at the last game of the season in May, he would have already known Madrid has interest in me. I have my way out of here if this isn't going to go right, right? Especially on the backdrop of everything we've talked about with our owners. They don't invest, whatever. I'm losing this legendary coach. Fuck, there's a chance that I might not win again, right? And then if you start looking at the quotes he's been saying this year, it all follows that same sort of path. Whatever camera he could get in front of, it's like, what do you care about, Trent? Trophies and my legacy, and that's what matters to me. My decision is going to be based solely on where I can win the most or winning trophies, right? So, and that was all early on in the season. So if I look at that and a lot of those quotes, I genuinely think Trent at the time, and I think, again, most people didn't expect us to be here, but even Trent himself, he thought this season we'll probably be in a top 4 fight. Maybe we'll finish 3rd, 4th. And if I say I'm going to Real Madrid, no one will be able to begrudge me. Like, oh, I love you guys. I've given my all to you guys. You know, I just want to take this new opportunity. Everyone's going to clap me off, right? The last thing Trent expected in this situation was for Liverpool to essentially to have lost 1 game all season, be top of the Prem with like a 9-point gap, top of the Champions League, right? Essentially, if you look at it just on paper, the best team in Europe is the team that he's currently on, which is his boyhood club, right? So what you've been selling the fan base is all I care about is trophies. All I care about is winning. So now when let's say you sign with Real and you're holding up the shirt and they're asking you questions now about the move and you have to speak to your people, right? Because you've been hiding this whole time. But eventually you're going to have to say something. Whenever a decision is made, you're going to have to say something. So if that's the decision you make, how do you explain that now to your people, right? Because make no mistake, like I've heard you and some others say he owes Liverpool nothing, or he's given his all for the club. But at the end of the day, this is his hometown. He's going to be playing football until he's, 33, 34.
So if Trent was leaving in the summer and he could get money for us for the move, you wouldn't have a problem with it.
No problem. If that's what you want to do, to me, it would still look weird because it's like,
yeah, but then your logic is like more of an accountant logic than a fan logic, because you're basically saying my problem is not Trent leaving. My problem is Trent leaving on a free. So if he left for a fee, you'd be like, that's okay.
No, it's both, right? Because as a fan, and himself also as a fan of Liverpool, you should not want to leave your team in that situation. Like if you're going to the biggest team in the world, you can't get a fee for your boyhood club to at least make it look good.
But come on, that's not on Trent though.
No, but it is on Trent because you have that option available. You sign a contract and then you allow if you actually want to go, sign this contract, we'll sell you to Real for a decent price. Let them pay.
But that's not realistic at all.
But Husam,
because he's gonna have less of a signing on fee if he does that.
Yes, so then that means everything. But that's my point. I'm only going based on what he has been telling his people, which is the Liverpool fans and his own people. He's actually from this place, right? I'm not a Scouser. You're not a Scouser, right? Like we can only speak to this is actually where he's from. So he naturally has an affinity to that place, just like any of us would have an affinity to our hometown. Like we can say whatever we want about money. Eventually, like most of us would want to be able to go back to our hometown and feel comfortable. And especially if we were a superstar athlete and that played for our hometown, I think most of us would want to go back home and be able to feel that adulation. Correct? Would you agree with that? Or would you say that wouldn't be a factor for you at all? Like you live in Jordan, right? You play for Jordan has the best football team in the world. You're a star there. It's time for you to leave to go to another club. They're gonna pay you more money. You're gonna just
you're looking at more short term than anything for me, because we're currently the best team in the world, but Real Madrid is the best team in the world, period. Like they're the biggest. You know, it's like, me and you both watch basketball. It's like the Lakers pull. It's just never going to change. It doesn't matter if they won the championship recently or not. They're the bloody Lakers. Like everyone wants to be a Laker. Every player wants to be a Laker. Like every single NBA player right now, if you ask him if you had to wear one shirt like for the rest of your life, most of them would say Los Angeles Lakers. And they're the Los Angeles Lakers of football. Real Madrid. Like we're talking about, like, it's funny because we're using NBA analogies. The Cavaliers, LeBron James, he left his hometown NBA team, after winning them a championship and went to LA. And that's probably one of the greatest players of all time in this whole thing. And he went there as a free agent, so it's not like he got the Cavs anything in a trade or anything, So that's not on him. Like, because now, if your logic is if he at least gets us some money, it's okay. I don't agree with that logic, because that's more of a logic of like it's an accountant logic, if you'd like, oh, he left. I have no problem with him leaving because he got me some money in return. Yeah, but that money is never going to replace Trent anyway.
No, because we can't look, as fans, we can't look at it completely emotionally and say he has to stay at Liverpool forever. He has no choice.
I'm not looking at it emotionally. I'm looking at it logically. If I was looking at it emotionally, I'd say he has to stay. But I'm not saying that. I'm looking at it logically. Logically, this club is unambitious. That's my logic.
No,
if you had a contract in your prime right now, would you put it in the hands of John W. Henry, or you put it in the hands of Florentino Perez? That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, he can't justifiably argue that in this current position he's in. You've literally completed football with this club, with your boyhood club.
Yeah, but that's short term, Emica. We're currently better than Madrid. Currently. But overall, we're not.
I get that, Husam. So just because the better team calls, you need to fuck off your hometown team and just go to that team regardless of what happens to your...
But you're missing the point.
That's a part of his legacy, which he said he cares about. He said he cares about his legacy. So your legacy in Liverpool, you can go to Madrid and do whatever you do. Your legacy at Liverpool is a part of your legacy, whether you like it or not.
Is your phone ringing, by the way?
Yeah, let me mute it.
Yeah, just if you want to answer it, you can go off camera and answer it if it's an important call. Don't worry about it. Yeah, if it's an important call, because if it's like your mom or something or someone family member, I don't want you to just air them. You get me? But if it's like your girl, you can tell her you're busy. This is more important than the relationship right now. This is more important than the relationship right now.
I told her I'm talking business right now.
We're talking business. We're talking business. Big boy talk right here. Listen, you can wait a little bit. You get me? You can wait a little bit.
Exactly.
Look. You're looking at it more from like what's best for Liverpool, which is to get a fee for him, hopefully get a replacement, etc. I'm looking at it from the player's perspective, which is ambition, direction. That's what I'm talking about. Right now, as things stand, Liverpool are top of the Premier League and Liverpool are top of the Champions League. Are we the type of club to do that 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row? No, we're not. Would any of us be shocked if we win the Premier League this season and fall off the fucking, just fall off insanely next season because we didn't invest? No, that's who we are, mate. Like, we're not, because that we don't really spend money, to be honest with you. But if he's looking at it from his future perspective, which club, if he joins, is going to have more medals at the end of his career?
Yeah, but it's like...
But it's reality, Emica. It's painful reality, but it is reality. If Qatar owned us, or if the UAE owned us, or if Saudi owned us, this wouldn't even be a conversation. I would tell you right now, you're 100% correct. Trent is a traitor. We have owners that want to win. We have owners that want to succeed. Over the next 3-4 years, we're going to dominate. But we've made it to the mountaintop before, and they pushed us off it. So what's stopping them from doing it again this time?
All I'm saying is, if you actually look objectively, let's actually talk about this objectively. Like, let's look at Liverpool right now, right? We've talked about what positions we actually need invest. Let's assume we sign VVD and Salah. So they're going to be here the next 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can objectively look at our team and say where we need to upgrade is we need to get a 6. We need to get a left back. We need to get a center back. And then you would probably say we need to sell Nunez and replace him, right? But in terms of immediate need would be the 6, the center back, and the left back. So essentially 3 positions. Everyone else on that team, if you keep Trent, we're essentially 2 players per position in every other place on the field. So
I agree with that 100%.
Based on and at good ages too, right? Our entire midfield is basically 25 or younger. I think our oldest attacker besides Mo is like 28, Jota. So again, everyone's in their prime, ready to win. And then if you win this year, you have that cloak of, we've done it before, we're ready to go do it again. So if you're actually thinking objectively as Trent, whatever you want to say about FSG, he doesn't even have to sign a 5 or 6 year deal. in the next 2 to 3 years, if Liverpool adds, and let's be real, like we can say, well, even if we don't sign anyone in January, I would say the likelihood of us signing no one again in the summer is almost zero. You can't go 4 windows in a row, no signings with a new coach. Like I think Slot would be okay with, okay, the first summer you didn't get anyone, January you didn't get anyone. It's impossible that next summer, if we don't get anyone in January, that we don't sign anyone. I think no matter how much you hate again, I would be shocked. As much as
I wouldn't say it's impossible, mate. The way that listen, me and you would have probably met in June last year and said it's impossible in Slot's first summer we only signed Chiesa, but hey, it happened. You get me? It happened. Like there is nothing that shocks me with this ownership anymore. I'll be so honest with you.
No, I'll say that like categorically, and I think most people would agree. Like you'd have to be shocked if we don't get anyone this window plus the next 2 years in a row with a new manager. No, again, I don't rate FSG. I think like we can do better with owners, but I just don't see that. I just don't see how that would be possible. Me personally. So again, on the backdrop of that, we're a team that is set up for success for the next 2 or 3 years minimum. So Trent can't use the excuse of, oh, but Real's bigger and they win more.
No, but you're putting in the caveats that we actually signed what we need to sign. When's the last time we actually signed what we need to sign? And the same stuff that you're saying right now, we could have made the same exact argument in 2019, 2020. If we were sat here in June 2020 after winning the Premier League title, we're ready to go again. All this team is in their primes. Robertson is what, 26? Van Dijk is what, 27? Salah is what, 27, 28? They're all in their primes. They're ready to go again. Yeah, guess what? We were ready to go again. We were top, and then we signed Kabak and Ben Davies and ended up falling off a cliff. We didn't even see Ben Davies, mate.
That's an injury that fucked us that season.
Yeah, but that could happen again. That could happen again. And I'm not saying it like I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm not saying about any of this type of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, when it comes to this conversation, you say that we're primed to win if we sign the positions that we need. But we're not the type of club to sign everything that we need. Like me and you will agree right now, we probably need centre back, left back, a midfielder, and a forward. That's like the 4 positions that we need. What do Liverpool prototypically do? We need 4 positions. Okay, let's just sign 2 of them, and the other 2, fuck it. That's what we usually do. Let's be honest.
Fair enough. But even if we did that, we'd be one of the favorites next year to win. If we go next summer, so you said 4 positions. If we sign a center back and a DM, we'd be one of the favorites to win next year. Would you agree?
One of the challengers, yeah, I didn't even disagree. We would challenge this season.
Husam, if Trent, VVD, and Salah stay, and this summer you said if we need 4 positions, we normally would sign 2. If we go this summer, we sign a center back and a DM. Would you say we're one of the favorites next year to win?
Yeah, of course we will challenge 100%. But then you're gonna have psychopathic Pep Guardiola going on his revenge arc. So you would need to probably, if you want to tell me Husam, you want to win the league next season, I'd be like, listen, sign all 4 positions because this Pep guy his head is steaming right now, and that's the last.
Still lose to Pep. He's one of the greatest managers ever. As you said, there's no guarantee.
You can still lose to Pep, but if I'm fighting a monster, I want to get a sword, a shield, body armor, and a head armor. Like I want to make myself ready for war.
I'm just saying, Husam, if we're gonna have let's have a realistic discussion, right? Let's be realistic. I get it. I understand all the FSG talk. Let's be realistic here. They didn't sign anyone for Slot in the summer. Let's assume they don't sign anyone for him in January.
Do you think it's okay if they don't sign anyone in January?
I don't.
Thank you.
But let's say they don't, right? Again, knowing who our owners are, let's say they don't. Like, as much as we hate FSG and what we think of them, I think most would agree the likelihood of them going 2 years with a new coach, no signings, is next to. I just don't see that. You might, and maybe people in the chat, I'd love to hear from you guys. Like, if you actually think we're not going to sign so we're just going to sign nobody for Slot.
It's not even about that. It's the fact that like what we usually do is we need like 4 things. We sign 2 of them. That's honestly what we usually do. So like this summer could be like Schlotterbeck and Ederson as an example. And we go like, listen, fuck the left back. We trust Robertson and fuck the forward line. Like, we could do that because that's who we are. It's just who we are. And then you start next season and suddenly Diaz isn't cooking at the striker position like he did this year. And all of a sudden going like, oh shit, we said all summer long we need to sign a forward. And it's a shock to the system of all of us, you know, because that's what usually happens. Like, you know how long I was screaming the word midfielder? My first 3 years on YouTube consisted of every summer screaming midfielder until we decided to sell 7 and buy 4. And the summer before that, I remember I was laughed at, and Klopp did the interview with Redmond TV and Anfield Rap and start saying stuff like, why do we need a midfielder? We have 7 of them. Yeah, but it's not about quantity, it's about quality. The thing that the super chat that
one quick question. What if next season, let's say we don't sign a left back, right? Would you be okay with Tsimikas being the starting left back? I know you're a fan of his.
Yeah, Tsimikas being the starter, yes, not the other guy. Not problem.
You'd be fine.
Yeah, I think Tsimikas is an underrated player.
Okay,
very underrated.
Be okay with that.
Yeah,
right.
I'm okay with Tsimikas starting. Yeah, no problem.
That ends up happening. So we don't sign a left back, right? So now, but you're fine with Tsimikas starting, right?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with it.
And then the players that we've been actively linked with have mostly been center backs and DMs, right? So let's say, as you said, we need 4, we signed 2. As I said again, we signed those 2 players. We needed 4, but FSG, you know what? You gave us 2. Who do you think is in a better position than us to win next year? Again, if everybody stays and we get those signings. I'm just asking you to be honest, because you know.
Okay, I'll tell you honestly. The one club that I can.
Husam. You know, the honest answer is we would be the favorites next year, if everything I just explained to you goes that.
No, but I don't think so. I really don't. Other than getting charged, it would be Man City. Like unless they have a points deduction or something happened, Pep Guardiola is a psychopath. He lost the league title in. He lost the league title in 2019-20 and proceeded to win 4 after. He is a psychopath, that guy.
I'm
not even mentioning Arsenal. I'm talking about Man City specifically.
I think ours is a psycho too. I don't know if you saw that stat, which I didn't know. I didn't know his only loss this year was that Forest.
It was Forest, yeah. He's so rattled by that game. By the way, guaranteeing everyone in the chat right now, guaranteed we beat them January 14th because that's his World Cup final. Sure. Write it down right now. He's so rattled by that game. He's gonna plan for it. Like, I'm actually worried we lose Spurs because he's thinking about Forest. That's how bad it is for me with the whole Forest thing.
And I've been telling people that too. I'm like, write it down. We're not losing that Forest game.
100% we're winning that game. I've never seen a manager so rattled by a game. He's mentioned it probably 70 times since it's happened.
Facts. So my point, Husam, is like, again, we just spoke about how I feel Pep is the best manager in the league. But I literally think we signed like a sicko. Like, I think Slot, I genuinely think we've signed.
I hope you're right, because we need that. We need someone who's a psychopath and wants to win all the time. I agree. But if you're being honest, just based off of evidence, the last 10 years, we have to just say Pep purely just out of respect. Like, okay, I'm never gonna push around Man City and go like, nah, fuck you, I'm favorite. I cannot do that with Man City because I know that they're about to have 2 transfer windows from hell where they sign fucking the GDP of a country. They spend it on players, and they're just gonna come back and do some shit that no one expected, because this is who Pep is. Pep in that season where we won the league had Laporte out till the end of the season, had to play Fernandinho, you get me, and shit like this. And then in the summer after that, he spent a fuckload of money signing center backs and players, and boom, 4 years later, 4 league titles. So it's just based off of what has happened in the past with Pep. I can't just push Pep to the side. That's it. But we would be second. If we win the league this season and we sign 2 out of 4, we'd be second favorite.
Okay. So then again, so that's where you would say for Trent, you're on a team that is going to be challenging for the biggest titles. There's no way if we, like, as I said, you're on a team that's challenging. So for you to try to sell it to us that this whole time your biggest factor in your decision was going to be trophies. Of course, you could always say Real's going to win the most trophies, right? But it's different than when McManaman left or when Owen left and Liverpool literally was not capable of challenging for anything. Because by your logic, then Liverpool never had a chance of signing Trent at all. Like, once Real came in, it was over. We were never going to keep our player. But the team you're on right now is first in the Prem, first in the Champions League. Like, what are we talking about here? I don't know. That's how I feel.
Here's the main caveat.
That's how I feel about it.
When it comes to Real Madrid, you remove the word challenging and you insert the word winning. Because that is the genuine key difference between both our football clubs.
But I thought he told you it means more, though. So what about that? I thought he told you it means more.
Have some shame.
That's what he. So Husam, all I'm saying,
have some shame.
Have it both ways, Husam.
No, but you just made the argument emotional when you were talking about get me a fee and I'm okay with it. So you can't switch it up.
I feel like you're trying to have it both ways to win the argument. I'm saying you.
I'm not, because Madrid want to win, not challenge.
You have to pick a side. Does it mean more?
Okay, I'll pick a side. This summer. I'll pick a side. This January right now, there is an opportunity for us like never before. Guess what? I was wrong and you were wrong. Never mind challenging. We could win all 4 trophies. There is an opportunity in front of our very own eyes to quite literally achieve football immortality. You know what we need? We need Gravenberch and McAllister to not have steroid injections in their knees to play a Champions League final. We need Salah rested in certain games so we can have him fully fit and ready for the important games this season. We need Van Dijk rested. Serious football club right now. Sign a centre back that can play left back. Cheat a little bit. Schlotterbeck, Hinchcapia, whoever. Forget names. It's about concept. Sign whoever. Zubimendi, yesterday. Today. Guillem Balaguer. He has expressed the desire that he's willing to leave Sociedad now. Go get Zubimendi. He has a release clause. It's not like me and you have an opinion on it. It's literally a release clause. 51 million. Go get him. Release clause done. Unlock his clause.
He has to agree though. He didn't agree in the summer. We paid the release clause.
No, it's the other way around. You speak to the player first, and the player say yes, you speak to the club. We spoke to Zubimendi, he gave us the green light, and then what happened after that is what caused all this shit. Because if we just paid the release clause then and then, he would be a Liverpool player. But we gave him 24 hours to be seduced by the mountains of San Sebastian, and then they gave him all PowerPoint presentations and shit because we wanted to pay it in installments. Anyway, back to this conversation. Zubimendi, centre back that can play left back. Call AC Milan, tell them Forza Milan per sempre, and send them that guy, and get any forward you want. Forget, I'm not going to be, oh my God, get me Gyökeres, get me Osimhen, I don't care. Get me anyone. Osimhen, Gyökeres, Marmoush, Emica, Ali in the chat, anyone. Get anyone you want. You sign those 3 this January, football immortality. Emica, immortality. We win every single trophy this season. Forget about waiting. I ain't waiting for shit. I'm not waiting for nothing. This season, we win all 4. But we won't do that. We will not do that. What's happening right now is pressure is building up and up and up and up and up and up with the whole Trent situation. What they're going to do is they're going to wait for the day where the pressure is building on the club the most and announce Van Dijk and Salah contracts. Both of them on the same day.
So sorry, which player do you think is available in the winter that could replace a starter in our lineup? You were saying?
Okay, for which position specifically? Which one out of the 3?
Any of our positions. When we have like everyone healthy, who's available in the winter that you think would replace a starter?
I mean, Zubimendi definitely replaces a starter. Zubimendi is not a bench player.
Sure, Zubimendi. Okay, who else?
Why is someone saying check Fabrizio tweet? I want to win more. I want to win the Premier League title more than the Champions League this year. I really want it as a team. We wanted. That's a Salah quote.
Salah said that?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. So it's mostly Salah talking about them winning. If someone tells me check Fabrizio like with Trent and he's said the same shit the 20th different time, I am gonna. There's no Trent tweet, bro.
Let's see. Let me see.
I'm literally on Fabrizio's Twitter. It's 5 Salah quotes literally. If you're talking about the tweet from an hour ago, he has said this about 18 different times, mate. Literally. Madrid maintain their stance on Trent. If it won't be possible to negotiate with Liverpool in January, Madrid will push the player to bring him as a free agent on July. Okay, we know this already. Yeah. This is not breaking news, mate.
I already know
this is Fabrizio recycling, mate. Yeah, okay.
But I think the Trent situation won't.
So back to your question. In January, The one that automatically starts. Don't
Zubamendi.
argue that. Yeah, thank you. Oh my, we agree. Thank God we agree. Alhamdulillah. Zubamendi, McAllister, and Gravenberch.
Yep, 100%.
Give me Premier League winner directly.
Okay.
I just stamped I'm going to be a Premier League winner and a Carabao Cup winner at minimum. So that's 2 trophies in the bag with 1 signing.
Okay.
Any club in the universe, give them that guy, get a forward. Milan, obligation to buy with a loan. Loan them, like, don't even ask for loan fee. You pay them to take him away for loan and get Marmoush. Egyptian king, Egyptian prince.
I don't know.
Now with Marmoush, here's the thing: he wouldn't, and this is where me and you, there's a disagreement in idea here. Zubimendi would be the automatic starter. The other 2 positions, it's not about automatic starter. It's a bigger picture than that. With the other ones is Ipswich at home, but I have Atletico Madrid away in the Champions League. Salah, sit on the bench today. You're rested. Marmoush, go win me this game against Ipswich.
No, but Husam, I think we can do that right now with our forward line. I think if we actually needed to rest Salah against Ipswich, we could do it 100%.
Me and you both know that there is a certain Portuguese guy. It's only a matter of time before he goes down with another injury. Let's be serious.
Yeah.
There's another Italian guy that we won't see all year long. Let's also be serious. So there's 4 options. I have to always look at the injury situation. There are 4 valid options.
I hear you.
Bro, Gakpo had to play a Carabao Cup 4th round game away at fucking Brighton, bro, because these guys are never fit. You get what I'm saying? We literally have evidence of it. Like, it's quite. We brought on Salah in a Carabao Cup 4th round game away at Brighton, bro. This is not good.
But truthfully, I don't think Marmoush is an Edwards signing. I think he's gonna look for a
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that.
More elite profile. I don't think that's a player he would sign, especially at the amounts that they're going to quote for him. I don't think they'd sign him.
Yeah, but it depends. Are Frankfurt taking the piss or are they being realistic? If they ask for 40 million, that's a Liverpool signing all over it. But if they want to go over the top and start saying 70, 80, then we might as well just go release Osimhen from his clause.
Exactly.
It's pointless then.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for me, it's more about giving the team options, because the one thing that Pep has done in the years where he has won multiple trophies is he has rotated heavily. Yes, there are, of course, the cornerstones of your team. Like, if we get to Wembley and it's a Carabao Cup final, of course I want Salah to start. Of course. But even now in the semis away at Spurs, I'm okay if like a Chiesa and a Jota and a like whoever plays, because we have what it takes to beat Spurs anyway. So like I'm not like sat here like, oh, Mo must play. But unfortunately, we are in this position because we do have quite injury-prone players up top.
What I would say, Sam, is, and I think, don't be surprised. I know everyone's assuming Isak's going to go to Arsenal. Don't be surprised if Edwards tries to dip his hand in that. If it actually becomes made known that he's actually going to be available, and depending on
that's way too much money for us, way out of our budget.
But I think the 150s they're talking, it's not going to be that number. If Isak actually says, I want to go and it's time to go, it's not going to be that number. It never ends up being
be objective. How much do you think you can get him out of Newcastle for?
I think probably 100.
That's still out of our price range, to be fair. That's like 3 players for us.
It depends if we sell. If we get 40 for Nunez and we sell some, like, you know how we work. It's about selling someone and adding something on top.
No, I hear that. That's a fair claim to make. I'm not against that. But listen, Isak is a little bit out of our range, considering the amount of things that we need done.
We have to do.
Yeah, that's the thing that I would say. Like if
a room on that price, I won't be surprised if you see Liverpool's name linked to him.
No, I hear you, but like this also depends. Okay, if we have everything sorted and the only thing we need is a striker and Isak's available for 100, okay, of course we might be willing to do that. But it's about the other stuff. Like it's the stuff around it. It's like, okay, I need a left back and a center back and a midfielder and a striker. It's just too much that we need for us to spend 100 of it on one player, which is why I'm saying like that's not going to happen. Isak, I don't think Isak happens in January anyway, which is why I didn't even bring up that name. Like when you ask me for realistic names, I give you realistic names. You know, and there's always gems out there. Like,
I'm sorry, I wasn't saying for January, by the way. That would definitely be a summer. Like he's definitely
of course. Yeah, of course. But that's why when you ask me for January, I think we make 2 signings in January, we win it all.
Okay. Like the quad, you mean?
100%. What's stopping us?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think we're really good. That's what I'm saying. I hope we get I think the main thing for me is a center back. I want a center back more than anything.
Same.
I just want a center back, man. Like I think we
And
can
we can cheat and get one that can play left back as well.
yeah, like just that hybrid player that we can put in there. Like I think that would take us. I think that's fine. Like obviously, if we could have it our way, we'd get center back, midfielder, striker, everything. But let's be realistic. Just get us at least one player, and if it could be a center back, I think.
Who's the one player you think in this whole Premier League that is exactly what we need, but plays for another club? There's an answer to this.
Exactly what we need, but plays for another club.
There's only one player in this whole league that this applies to.
And what position does he play?
Centre back. He can play centre back and left back. He's not attainable, unfortunately, because he moved to them last year. But for me, the one guy I would say this is Jurriën Timber.
Oh yeah.
If he was still at Ajax, I would be like, sign his ass now.
For
now
sure.
bring him here.
For sure.
Yeah. Timber is the correct answer because Timber is the one. Yes, Timber is the one guy that can play center back and left back, and is a cheat code. And I can use him when I want to rest Van Dijk. I can use him. I can use him if I want to rest any player, bro, like that. Or a Guardiola, but they're both unattainable. But you could get someone of that ilk, though. That's what I'm saying. Like a hybrid, basically, is what I'm saying.
I agree with that. And the reason I made the Isak claim is because if I look at our actual history, like I feel like our board tends to emphasize, like we're very attack focused, which I think is smart because to win like the big honors, you need to have that potency up front. It's as you talk about like X factors. You need to win the Champions League, to win leagues, you need guys that can make something out of nothing. And I just feel like if we somehow found a way to just finesse getting Isak into that front line, it's just we could spend less on those other positions and make it.
Yeah, I'm with you, which is why I'm actually very proud of the fact that Diaz and Gakpo are both cooking this season, because what we could not do de facto this year is be Salah FC again. I'm just sick of it because people I know you weren't part of this, but people in the last 2 months or last season, where's Salah? He's supposed to step up. He's this, he's that. I'm like, bro, he created our most dangerous chances literally in like 3 of the games where he lost the league. Stop it. But these guys just need to step up, which is why I'm a big fan of Diaz stepping up. I'm a big fan of Gakpo stepping up. Those two players, we need them to be healthy and firing, not just healthy. Healthy and firing. If Diaz goes back to the same Diaz from last season, problem. If Gakpo goes back to the unconfident Gakpo who's not shooting and shit, also problem. And I don't know if you like watch a lot of my watch-alongs, but a lot of the times people come here, people consider me the negative guy because of the no context fan TV clips and shit, but I'm really not negative. I'm always encouraging of the forwards to take risks. That's why when Gakpo was taking shots against Leicester, I'm like, shoot, bro. I don't care if you score, shoot, build up pressure, take risk, etc. I'm a fan of that. And that's what I like with Gakpo and Salah specifically. Diaz is doing it a bit more this season of taking risk. Shoot. Not every time dribble, cut and shoot. The only time I was pissed off at Diaz this season, probably the Fulham game. Other than that, very happy with those 3 specifically. Yeah. Jota, it's injuries. We all know it's not his quality. It's purely injuries because that finish against Fulham, it's fair to say maybe the other 3 don't do it, to be honest with you. So like that's like a Jota specific finish where he just takes one touch, gets past the guy, boom, finish, goal. Yeah. The other 2, listen, I've given up completely on Nunez. Chiesa, I don't know. Because actually when I saw him against Southampton, he looked good.
He looked decent.
But then Slot is talking about his fitness. Maybe he's not ready. Maybe they're worried he gets injured again if they like. I don't know, to be honest.
I don't know what's going on there. It's actually a mystery to me. I actually don't know what the issue is. Like, why is he not?
It's one of 2 things. Either Chiesa is gonna be like one of the flops of Liverpool Football Club, or some way somehow he becomes like the Origi prototype in the last 3 months of the season.
Yeah,
it's one of 2. There's no in the middle with it.
Because the quality's there. Like, if he gets healthy, the quality is 100% there. Like, he can definitely help the team, man. Like. So I really hope he does. And as I said, like we talked about it before in our first call. Like I think our team is ready. Like I think our coach clearly is ready. We just need just a couple. Like I don't think we need a bunch of players in January. Just at least get one, and we should be fine. If we want to win everything. If we don't get anyone, then Slot's gonna have to be really smart about the rotation. Like we're gonna have to give up. We're gonna have to try to win like the FAs and the Carabos the way we did last year with the kids. We're gonna just have to throw them
Yeah.
where if they win, they win. If they
Bring
don't,
Minamino on loan for a month.
yeah, literally. So I mean, we just have to go about it that way. But yeah, I think we're in a good position for the Prem. Champions League, we'll see. But I think the trend.
There's a lot of caveats in Champions League as well. Listen, draws matter. There's so much that matters. I'm not gonna overdo this shit where we're favorites for this. No. Because Champions League, it depends on draw. Like you could get Sporting Lisbon and you could get Real Madrid the way that they're playing right now. And I'm not listen, yes, we beat Madrid, but we can't say in a knockout stage competition they don't know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Which is why, like, I'm not trying to see them. I would actually prefer if City played Madrid and City knocked out Madrid. That's what I would prefer.
City,
because then if we face City in the UCL, I'm good. Yeah. I'm completely good. Like Anfield in a Champions League setting against City, yeah, they're out, mate. Like
Anfield for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that. I need Madrid knocked out. That's the only club where I think maybe we have a little bit of how can I say? Specifically in knockout stage scenarios, it becomes more about moments players. It becomes a lot more about it becomes more about like someone doing something out of nowhere, which I think that they are capable of, to be honest with you. So, yeah, that's what I'll say. I don't know. Look, there's reasons to be excited, but at the same time, I'm cautiously excited.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying, because I know that all of a sudden this could go left out of fucking nowhere, and all it takes is someone having to play as the 9, and this whole season goes to the shits because of one decision, So
what I was going to ask though is in your opinion, do you feel Trent is 100% gone, like it's done?
No. I don't think Trent is 100% gone. I really don't. I still think there is a possibility he stays at Liverpool Football Club. There is a genuine possibility he stays, and look, he said he doesn't want this whole thing to play out on the public, because also football, one thing about football is you don't want to lose your connections. You don't want to lose your network. So even if you say no to Madrid, you want to keep a respectful relationship, because maybe 2 years from now you want to join them instead when you're 28, as an example, which is why he's saying, listen, I'm not going to publicly say fuck Real Madrid, and I'm not going to publicly disrespect Liverpool. So there is a possibility he stays. It's not like out of the real realms of possibility for him to stay, in my opinion. Okay. So I think there is a chance he stays. But for me, it becomes warning signs and riot time if the other two don't stay.
For sure. And that's what I want. Because we're not the type of fan base, like I'm talking about the match going fans that protest and stuff. I think that's when enough has to be enough. The protests have to happen. If Salah don't sign, I think that has to change. There has to be protests. There has to be real discussions now about the ownership. It's judgment. That's why I'm waiting for them. I don't want to jump too early, because if they sign, then it's like, what was the point? If those guys do not sign, then everything.
Oh, it's hell. It's hell then.
And it will. Though. It will. I think it will. I genuinely think that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Look, people don't believe in PR. People don't believe in brown envelopes, but it's reality. There are journalists who are club spokesmen who will come out and say the club didn't want to renew Salah because he made crazy demands and blah, blah, blah. They will vilify Salah, just like they vilified Trent now. It's reality. This is the reality. By the way, we're talking about it like Trent could literally extend tomorrow. Paul Joyce is the reliable source from a Liverpool perspective. He's come out and says the club is working on giving Trent a deal. I'm not going to go based off of Marca. I'm not going to go based off of what the Spanish newspapers want you to know, because that's what they did to Mbappe. Mbappe became the villain. I'm not going to do the same thing to Trent. Trent could literally stay. He's come out publicly and said, listen, we're not going to do this whole public thing where I'm going to comment on it every game. He's not. Salah has done the opposite, which is why I'm disappointed, because Salah has told you, listen, I want to stay. I want to win the Premier League. I'm completely focused. I want us to win. I want us to compete. Okay, where's this contract? Announce that shit. Like we need him to stay type thing, which is why those two specifically will be a big problem.
Yeah.
Do you agree with this? Big up to Oysen says, without a rotational DM, Gravenberch will get burnt out.
So, I actually wanted us to talk about this a bit, because I think, do you feel as though, I think Endo's, let's say we don't get a DM. Again, I don't think Endo should be starting any serious games for us. But I think if the workload is a lot on Gravenberch, I think there's a lot of games where Endo has shown he can come in and give us 20, 30 minutes. Like, I think he hasn't really looked terrible when he's come on. You know what I mean? Like, until we get that actual backup DM or Zubi, let's say, I think Endo can come in and spare Gravenberch some minutes. I honestly do. Genuinely.
I do remember when me and you spoke about City just now, and I told you they're a satanic club.
Yeah.
Justin, Man City are eyeing a double raid for Frankfurt's Omar Marmoush and Atlanta midfielder Ederson. See?
They're crazy. They're crazy.
Yeah, these guys, they don't do this whole like we're just sitting back stuff.
We need those charges to land, man. We need those charges to touch down, man. Because I don't know about you, but I think that's why they haven't been spending the way they normally do. I think because they're weird. Their recruitment's been weird, man. Like they haven't been spending like that.
I'm still City hate watching. It will be the most FSG thing ever to blow all the pounds on one player. Listen, we just spoke about it, us needing 4 things and then getting 2. It's a possibility we need 4 things and we get 1. I mean, nothing is impossible with these owners, to be honest with you. Listen, it's just this club is so weird because in the summer we needed a center back, a left back, a DM, and a striker, and we ended up signing a left winger, of which we have 4 of them already. So like, I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not shocked at this club anymore. Anything is possible. Quite literally anything is possible with this football club, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know what
that killed me.
Did you want Cheikh Doucouré and Mason Mount as well?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Then you are not a criminal. Then we are good. He's the criminal, mate. He's the biggest criminal.
Where I do agree with Tom Little is if Trent leaves on a free, dead to me. Dead to me. Legacy done. I don't care what you say, Husam. I don't care what any fan page says. If Trent leaves where we are right now as Liverpool Football Club, leaves to Real on a free, dead to me.
I hear you. He wouldn't be dead to me, but I hear you. Man said roll the clip. Shall we play Tom Little's Chargers on the stream? He's not here. Why not? Yalla, let's do it. There are so many bad takes on that list as well. There are actually so many bad takes.
Loud Tom. Love
But anyway, listen, this was a fun conversation with Emica. This wasn't even a cooking or anything. We agreed on 90% of the things.
And I knew we would, man. It's just the little tidbits.
Yeah. You're a very good speaker. You should do this YouTube thing.
Thanks, man. Maybe I gotta come on your channel a little bit more.
Yeah, you're good at this. You're definitely good at this. Anyway, listen, this was enjoyable, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching as well. Make sure you guys are slapping the like button on your way out. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Big up to all the super chatters. Big up everyone who showed us love. And look, we're gonna raid Zir. This stream is gonna take you over to Zir. He's doing a bingo night. Might as well decompress with some football bingo. Why not? He doesn't even know I'm raiding him. So make sure you guys say Husam raid in the chat. You get me? Let's take over that channel right there. Show those Bayern frauds, just like we burned down the Allianz. We are gonna burn down that channel as well. So make sure you guys say that in his chat. Big up to every single one of you guys. Make sure you guys are slapping the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Big up to Emica as well. Thank you for joining. This was a very entertaining stream. Sure. And see you guys over in that chat, man. I'm gonna go raid him as well. Peace.
Later.